Hello and welcome to this edition of Morning Trade. It's a Friday morning. We are heading into the weekend, but the cues coming out of global markets are looking pretty mixed in today's session. In fact, SGX Nifty is also trading muted. However, it looks like we will be starting above that 18,400 mark for the Nifty. Well, over the next 30 minutes, we'll be getting you a very special voice on the show, on the market and on the sectors to watch out for. We'll be talking about stocks like M&M, Sun Pharma, ONGC that will be reporting earnings today, and we'll of course be getting all your stock related queries answered by our technical expert on the show. So if you have any queries, send them in to us on our YouTube feed and we will have them addressed by our expert. But before we do all that, let's take a look at the top stories at this hour. Technology stocks spark a near 2% rally on the Nasdaq. In fact, the semiconductor pack was higher in yesterday's session. Meanwhile, the US economy grows faster than previously estimated. And on the debt ceiling front, US President Joe Biden and Kevin McCarthy may be nearing a deal to cut spending and raise the government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling. Asian markets open higher in early trade. The Hang Seng is shut for a public holiday, but the SGX Nifty is signaling a start above that 18,400 mark for the Indian market. Among key important earnings to watch out for today, auto major M&M, Sun Pharma, ONGC will report their fourth quarter numbers. BEML, BHEL and Samvardhana Motherson are among the mid-cap earnings to watch out for. Aviation regulator DGCA gives go first 30 days to turn in a comprehensive and sustainable revival plan, asks the airline to ensure it has all the required resources available to restart operations. Now, without any delay, let's get on board our guest for today. We're joined by Andrew Holland, the CEO at Avendus Capital. Good morning, Andrew. Good to have you on the show. I want to talk to you about the markets, given the fact that, the move towards 18,300 to 18,400 has not really been an out-and-out rally. It has been fraught with volatility, but quite a few things working in India's favor, given the fact that foreign investors have made a comeback. Crude is around that $76 mark now. Do you think there are any risks to this up move that we've seen, or do you think the Nifty will manage to conquer, the previous highs once again anytime soon?
Yes, good morning, and it's a great question. We're all kind of grappling: is the next move up or down? And I think the volatility you talked about will remain for some time. So what are the risks? Let's look at the risks first, and before we talk about the upside, which is obviously what would be more enjoyable for investors. But the risks, I think, are threefold. First of all, whilst we're expecting the talks in the US with the debt ceiling to go through in a favourable way, hopefully before that deadline of June the 1st. I think the higher interest rates in the US. Could still continue to cause, unintended consequences like we saw in the banking sector. It might kind of move its way to the commercial real estate sector. So that's one kind of risk that the market is still not pricing in that respect. I think two is, obviously from our own perspective, the monsoons and the possibility of El Nino could be a factor which would dampen investment hopes in terms of a stronger kind of economy over the next quarter or so, and of course I think geopolitical, we can't rule that out in terms of what's happening around the world. So again, if anything was to spike the oil price up, that would be a risk for our kind of expectations that interest rates will fall. So what's the positives? The positives are obviously the debt ceiling talks. If they end favourably, then I think markets around the world will give a huge sigh of relief on that, and that could push our markets higher in the shorter term.
Right. Everybody's been talking about the fact that the global rate hike cycle may have, maybe nearing its end. But there are certain Fed members who've been talking about, more rate hikes, given the fact that inflation still remains above the Fed's comfort zone of 2%. What are the chances that Fed will still go ahead and, look at a pause at this juncture, especially in the wake of the regional banking crisis that just unfolded?
So, in the last meeting, the chairman, Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, all but said that, we're on pause. pause, right? He kept saying, we're not on pause, we're just, going to see where the figures take us. So there's a new narrative now, because there's obviously, as you rightly said, there's a split within the Fed of should we, shouldn't we? So I suspect that the new narrative will be, we'll skip this meeting in terms of making any decision on rates and continue to watch data for the next few months before making that decision whether we need to hike rates or not. In our view, the Fed will be reducing rates by the end of the year, not hiking them. It's really how quickly they get to that point as the economy starts to kind of slow very, very quickly towards that kind of recession. If you notice yesterday, Germany's actually in a technical recession. So, the markets are just ignoring that. For our markets, I think the RBI and Asia in particular have the opportunity to reduce rates, a lot quicker because, as you said, the oil price is a lot lower. So I could see the RBI reducing rates by 25 basis points in October of this year, which again would be a great catalyst for our markets.
Right, so that's the view on the interest rate regime. But, let me talk about the earnings season that has just concluded. We know that IT has been an underperformer, but banks have clearly, been the leaders of the pack. So would you be buying into banks now, given the fact that the sector has, of course, had an extremely good quarter, but stocks have really outperformed, and analysts believe that most of this good news is already priced in the stocks. So what's your sense on where banks are headed, and whether, you'd look at PSU banks right now or private banks?
I continue to look at private banks. I think the analysts probably will have to upgrade forecasts going into the back end of the year as the economy accelerates. I think what people are missing is the government capex is very robust, but alongside that is private capex, which is picking up very, very significantly, and that will help push the economy and therefore companies to expand. So I think, lending is going to be something which the banks are going to continue to enjoy. And of course, in any kind of interest rate reduction regime, then the banking sector would be something that, would continue to do well. So I would probably stick with the private banks. And there'll be a time to buy the PSU banks. But, we've always had this view that with PSU banks, it's more of a trading range that they kind of move in. So therefore, it's better to rent them rather than own them or buy them for the long term.
Right, PSU banking is one, in fact, private banks, I beg your pardon, is one. And of course, if I ask you for three big themes that an investor can look at post this fourth quarter earnings season, which ones would you advise them to look at? Except, of course, the beverage and liquor industry, which I know you are fairly bullish on right now.
Yes, no, I'm very bullish on the beverage industry, including soft drinks, not just alcohol. I think premiumization is going to be a very big, strong theme going forward, and therefore within that FMG sector, I'd be looking for the defensive qualities of obviously beverages, but also the extensive growth possibilities now through higher revenues and higher margins. So that's one theme. I think the second theme is electronics. I think not just through the PLI, but for delivering in India or making India, I think the export potential here could be absolutely huge. So I think we're at the very, very beginning of a very big move in the electronics industry. Very few names to play with at the moment, but it is going to be an evolving industry with, I'm sure, many new players coming in here. So I think there'll be plenty of opportunities to get into the sector going forward. I think the third theme that we've been playing for a long time now, but continues, is domestic travel. I think hotels and airlines are going to be the big beneficiaries of people traveling more and more. And I'm sure you notice that, as well as I do, in terms of trying to get restaurants or hotel bookings. It's always fraught with either wait times for restaurants or the prices that you have to pay.
Right, so broader consumption theme is what Andrew is betting on. With that, Andrew, thanks a lot for taking out time. It was great chatting with you. Hope to have you back on the show sometime soon.
Thank you.
Well, with that, let's also bring on board our technical expert for today, Raja Venkatraman of Neotrader, joining in this morning. Good morning, Raja. Good to have you this Friday. Remarkable recovery we made last evening. In fact, in the last hour of trade, ending above that 18,300 mark, way off day's low. And today, SGX Nifty is looking muted, but nevertheless, it is hinting at a start above that 18,400 mark. So, what are the levels that you will be watching out for on the index today?
Yeah, good morning, Nanda. Yes, I would rightly agree with you that the recovery seen yesterday, the last hour surge which we saw in the markets was a relieving factor because it restored the bullish sentiments. Because yesterday everyone thought that the bullish sentiments have to fold up, but we have seen a recovery, and despite some nervousness seen from the US markets, we have still managed to hold up. And now, right now, we are seeing that the US markets is not negative. So that's a good start for the Friday. Yes, we are on a muted start, but like you rightly said, holding above 18,400 means a lot to all the bullish camp out here. And I feel that the bullish sentiment should continue. We would experience more of sector rotation here, and stock specific action will start dominating because the result seasons are done away with, and we have had some decent set of numbers, so everyone will start reacting to those numbers. There are certain sectors like FMCG, auto, they have done excellently. So all the stocks from this particular sector are being tracked at. And the other set of sectors are the real estate and also the financial. So these sectors are something which everyone is tracking, everyone is participating in, be it the large caps, be it the mid caps. So I think that the bullish bias is set to continue for some more time. Now, when you talk about the levels, I feel that unless we lose 18,100 on the downside and 43,300 on the downside, all is good for the bullish camp. And for the upward trajectory to continue, I feel that the Bank Nifty will play a very important role. And for that, I would need the Bank Nifty to close above 44,200. Yes, it did attempt to cross 44 around 150 couple of times, but then it didn't manage to successfully go there, and we saw some supply emerging out there. So now, if 44,200 is given, you get a closing on an end of day basis, that would really set some room, upward room, and I expect a target of around 18,700 in Nifty and 44,800 in Bank Nifty.
Right. I want to quickly move on to the stock of the day. Page Industries reported a weak set of numbers. Commentary on demand also pretty weak. Look at the stock. It hasn't done much on a YTD basis. In fact, over the last 5 days, it has only been in a downtrend. Where would you expect the stock to head from here?
See, yes, while we all agree that the consumption theme is definitely on the cards, but then there are certain stocks which is not able to fulfill that particular requirement. And Page Industry is one such where there has been some steady pressure to the downside, and this stock will continue to experience some declines. So I would not be participating in on the long side here. If there is a decline, it could go all the way towards 39,000. So there is a steep fall emerging in this particular stock.
Right. Talking about some of the results that came out yesterday, Z, of course, has reported weak set of numbers, has swung to a loss vis-a-vis a profit of 181 crore or thereabouts on a YY basis. Revenues have been largely in line, but margins, of course, has been below estimates. How would you advise investors to play Z? Steer clear of it now?
Yeah, the first thing what I would definitely recommend is Z is not in the investment category. It is more of a trading category. The decline should continue. You should see a reaction to the results, and but then the reaction which you will see to those numbers should not be participated in. Instead, you should use rally. Rally towards the region of around 180 to 185 would be a good zone to go short on a multi-day basis. But then this is definitely not an investment bet.
Right, Z, not an investment bet. Look at it from a trading perspective. Let's take in a query on L&T. Saurabh Gupta has written in and he wants to know your thoughts on the stock for the short term. How should one play this stock after the results now, Raja?
Yeah, L&T has not done well post the results. Actually, there has been a decline, and the supports which I am expecting L&T to come into has already come in the last few days. And I feel that one could take, it's a low risk opportunity. This is a good time to enter into L&T. Stop loss below 2150 should be appropriate, and you could go in from an investment perspective.
Right. Look at L&T from an investment perspective. Let's take up a query on Bharat Dynamics. Results were pretty weak. and stock has of course been in a downtrend over the last month or thereabouts. Madhu has written in, wants to know your thoughts, wants to know whether one should hold or short the stock after bad results.
Yeah, definitely the stock has reacted negatively to the numbers, and there is some more downside expected in this. But then the thing with a stock like BDL is that it moves only on certain specific days. So right now, I would not advise a short in this counter because the stock has already fallen quite sharply. So wait for a rally, but then I would consider this stock considering the sector overall. It seems to be in a positive frame of mind. So one should use these dips to buy into if you are looking to invest into the defense space.
Right. Use dips to buy into the defense space. Let's take up a query on Vodafone Idea and Bharti Airtel. Of course, there was a bullish note on Bharti Airtel coming in from Macquarie, which is why it was one of the top gainers on the index yesterday. Vodafone has come out with its numbers. I think on a quarter-on-quarter basis, it has narrowed down its losses. But how would you advise investors to play with the Vodafone with a trading perspective now?
See, the kind of price trajectory Vodafone is moving in, it's a hit or miss, and these single-digit numbers are not going to help the movement in any way. So I would like to skip participating in Vodafone Idea at any point in time. So that's my advice to all the viewers as well. Bharti, after a very long time, looks to have come out of its shadow. So if you are looking between Vodafone and Bharti, Bharti would be a better bet. There's a nice setup here, and if this could set off some positive moves in Bharti, then this would be a good time to enter. So any dips towards 810 to 800 is also a good opportunity because it did bite some time, but now the movement is definitely positive. So one should look to participate in this Bharti.
Look at participating in Bharti and avoid Vodafone. That's the call. Let's take up a query on Kirloskar oil engine. Rajat has written in and wants to know your thoughts on this counter. This stock has shed 13% over the last 5 sessions. How should one look at this now? Should one buy into this dip?
No, because the stock has definitely reacted to the results, and what we can see here is that the decline could persist and it could slip into a range-bound action. So one should wait for either the dips towards the region of around 300 to 320. Yes, that number seems a little bit far away, but then we are having some suitable set of supports only at those levels. It's not advisable to buy into this counter now.
All right, not advisable to buy into Kirloskar oil right now. Let's take up a query on M&M Financial. This one is coming in from Rajiv Sharma, wants to know your views on M&M Finance. I think over the last 1 month, it has done fairly well, up 13% or thereabouts. Just about 9 odd rupees away from 52-week highs. More upside on the charts?
Yeah, M&M Financial has been waxing and waning, but it has not been able to give that kind of push which we have been expecting. So at this current juncture, I would like to take a rest on this counter, and I would wait for some positive movements to emerge before I check into the M&M Financial counter.
Right. Let's also talk about the brokerage of the day. Phoenix Mills, that's the brokerage of the day because we have a couple of reports coming in. One is from CLSA. It has a buy rating with the target price of 1700 rupees or thereabouts. It says that, Phoenix Mills is a strong play on discretionary consumption. And Morgan Stanley, in fact, also has an overweight rating on the stock with a target price of 1700 or thereabouts. It says that Q4 earnings was a beat and you can expect another good year for this company going forward. And the strong consumption growth gives a very good color on the long to medium term growth visibility for the company. If you look at the stock, it hasn't really done much this year. But given the fact that there are some positive views coming in on the stock, time to take some position in this one?
Yeah, see, this stock in particular was doing well few weeks ago, but now what has happened is it has slipped into a range, and unless and until it moves above 1500, it would not be worthwhile to participate in this counter because around 1500 there are certain supply zones which are emerging. Though the real estate sector has been doing well, this stock in particular has not lived up to the expectation.
Right, that's the view. Couple of pharma stocks I want to talk about. Sun Pharma reporting its earnings today. Taro had reported good numbers, which is why we had seen a good uptick coming in on Sun Pharma a couple of days ago. Aurobindo will be reporting its earnings today. So, which are the stocks that are looking very good in the pharma space right now among Sun Pharma, Cipla and Aurobindo?
See, Sun Pharma is trying to revive from lower levels, and the stock has been in a steady decline. But compared to Sun Pharma, I would prefer to go with Cipla because Cipla, after a sharp decline, it's been trying to live up to some expectations. And the kind of recovery which we are seeing from lower levels is quite encouraging. Auro Pharma, as all are aware, they have shown a very sharp trajectory, and then the stock has been in consolidation for almost the entire month of May. Now, if there is a positive traction in the pharma space, then we should be looking at Aurobindo Pharma and Cipla. But the first preference would be Cipla because we are able to enter Cipla at a low risk level.
Right. So, Aurobindo and Cipla are looking attractive. We have a query coming in on Voltas from Satya CK, and he wants to know your thoughts on this counter. We have news flow that this company has started work on its AC manufacturing plant in Tamil Nadu. Now, if you look at the stock price, it has been in a range over the last 5 days, 1 month and the likes. But do you expect this counter to now make a dash at 1,000 anytime soon?
1,000 is a distant possibility, but yes, the stock is trying to recover from its current lows. Yes, it did dip into 790 to 800, and that would be an important a low risk point once again in Voltas to take a look at some quick opportunity on the long side.
Right, that's the view on Voltas. One of our viewers wants your thoughts on the IT sector right now. Nikhil Arora. Of course, we saw results weren't all that good. We saw some bit of correction coming in some of these IT stocks. But a lot of analysts believe that, maybe this correction should be used to buy into some of these names. Would you concur with that view?
Yeah, what I feel is that the mid-cap IT is doing much better than the top ones. They have been able to generate a lot of confidence. So you can see the likes of Dixon, Persistent Systems, Bsoft. So these are some names, Coforge. So these are some names which are doing quite well. So I would definitely like to go with these names rather than the large cap ones. Yes, IT sector had its share of decline. Now it is trying to stage a recovery. So people are using this as a defense play also. So what you could do is you could invest into these names, mid-cap IT names, but then the purview should be of a short-term nature, not of a long-term nature.
Right. Look at mid-cap IT with a short-term view. I'm afraid with that we have come to the end of this query segment. For viewers, if I couldn't take up your query today, don't worry, we'll try and take it up on Monday. But Raja, before I let you go, leave us with some stock recommendations for viewers today.
Yeah. So considering the way the market is panning out, I would retain two buy opportunities here. The first buy I would like to go in with is Hero Moto, and I would like to buy it at current levels with a stop loss at 27.30 for a target of 27.89 and 28.25. Then I would like to go in with an IT play and a buy in Bsoft at around 3.39 with a stop at 3.34 for targets of 3.46 and 3.51.
All right, buy calls on Hero Moto and Birlasoft. With that, Raja, thanks a lot for taking out time and joining in this morning and addressing all of your queries as well. Wish you a very happy weekend. Well, with that, we are completely timed out on this edition of Morning Trade. But of course, don't go anywhere because coming up next, you will be getting some market insights and stocks to watch out for from my colleague Santo. So stay tuned. And to all our viewers, thanks a lot for watching and wish you a very happy weekend.